the HALDI Living platform. We are very happy that you're able to join us today and wanted to let you know.
I think that's worth considering for everybody. Learning to bring your thoughts into the present, learning how to recognize your stress, etc., is worthwhile.
Sorry, I think I hear some other
You
noise.
said for treatment-resistant depression. That's where I get a little bit.
Okay. Sarika, are you able to mute? Hi, Manisha, are you able to mute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can you still hear anything?
Vandita, you're muted.
All right. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you very
So
much.
I hear something on the back, Manisha. That's much better. Okay. Okay. So good. We started with everything. Now you can all hear me, right?
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So welcome again to our first doctor talk on our platform, HALDI Living. To tell you a little bit what this is about. So we are physicians and we treat patients in our practice on a daily basis. We see different disease processes. But here at HALDI Living, our focus is actually to promote healthful habits and provide tips that help you stay healthy. So we are 3 founding members of the HALDI Living platform. I'm Vandita Samavedi and I'm an internal medicine physician. I've been practicing in the US for the last 25 years. And today I will be moderating the talk. Our speaker is Dr. Anusha Iyer, and I'll tell you more about her in just a minute. Our third member, co-founder is Sagarika Samavedi. She's an undergrad student at Stanford University, and she's our tech support, website designer, legal expert, pretty much a go-to person for everything we need her for. So let's go to the slide 2, Sagarika. Okay, so Healthy Living started because of our passion when we see patients and we wanted to help them. But there's also a lot of South Asian patients we saw. And Anusha brought in the unique aspect of Ayurveda. So we have this platform which talks about healthy lifestyle. We provide a lot of Ayurvedic input, things that we do not use routinely, like ancient grains, lifestyle for diabetics. So overall, our mission has been to share healthy lifestyle habits, which are particularly useful for diabetics, pre-diabetics. And if you've seen a doctor recently and they've told you you have pre-diabetes, don't be surprised because South Asians have a very high incidence of pre-diabetes and diabetes. And our efforts are to see if we can identify foods and habits that make us more susceptible to these diseases and much more. And again, have an understanding of how we can change our lifestyles and modify to enjoy eating our heritage foods, enjoy doing what we do and know a little bit about to help ourselves from these disease processes also. Next slide. So HALDI Living also has a lot of recipes. And just to let you know, it's not just recipes. When we put our recipes in, there's a lot of effort that goes in. We do the calculations for calories, so you don't have to do it. So if we recommend adding a chia seed when you're having your fruits, it actually lowers the glycemic index. And we always link our recipes to a lot of scientific articles. So that is something that you will see unique in our system because these are doctors who are writing recipes for you and actually integrating things that are really useful. We also have, next slide, Sagarika. So on our website, which is haldiliving.com, you will see health-related scientific articles. There's nutritious ingredients that you can incorporate in your daily meals. We talk about Ayurveda and holistic life and the importance of yoga. And there's much more that we have planned because we see patients on a daily basis. We see the problems like we ourselves notice when we go out to eat in restaurants and what to eat, what not to eat, or how to substitute things that we actually enjoy and make it much more healthy. So next slide. That was just an introduction for our platform, HALDI Living. and Anusha, myself, Sagarika are part of. But today's talk is actually on Ayurveda and a holistic life. And I will now introduce our speaker, Dr. Anusha Iyer. A few of you know her, but she is a wonderful friend of mine. She's a very accomplished physician who practices internal medicine and treats patients with complex medical diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, heart disease, and many more things. So she believes in the importance of holistic health. And when I speak with her, I'm always enthralled by how she brings in the Ayurvedic wellness, the perspective, which is so unique. And she is now studying Ayurveda at the Kerala Ayurveda Academy, and she is an Ayurvedic wellness counselor. And I'm so happy that she is going to be sharing her unique perspective on the importance of Ayurveda in our lives today. So I will hand over the control to Anusha to start her talk. And I will continue to moderate during this talk so that we can, just for the interest of time, maybe I'll just ask some questions in between because I am learning as we go when you speak. And we'll keep question and answers towards the end. Okay, so I will hand over the controls to Anusha now.
The power.
Hi, Amuda and Dominic.
Hi.
Just a reminder, we're just starting now. If you can just mute your audio. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Everybody can hear me well now?
Yes, thank you.
I am Anusha Iyer, and I would like to invite you today to dive into the ocean of health, a natural and holistic lifestyle called Ayurveda. First of all, I thank Dr. Vandita Samavedi for the kind introduction and Sagarika for helping with design and setup of this talk. Welcome to the world of Ayurveda. I want to share with you the ancient pearls and wisdom of living in sync with nature. All right. So what is Ayurveda? Ayur means life and Veda means science. These are the root words in Sanskrit from where Ayurveda originated. So it is a science of creating and maintaining a healthy life, a natural lifestyle that brings peace, balance, and harmony. It connects us with our roots in nature. So it brings balance by restoring our connection with nature. I would like you to ponder over this phrase. Life is a combination of body, mind, senses, and soul. How often in our modern lives we focus on the body alone for health and not so much on the other aspects? All right, so let's go over where Ayurveda originated and the historical background of Ayurveda. Ayurveda originated in ancient India between 4000 and 2000 BCE. It's a long time ago. It started in form of chants, and then people got together, supplemented it with observations based on scientific thinking. The material that was gathered was collected, subjected to rigid tests for efficacy. They then rearranged these into compilations or textbooks called samhitas. So there are three large textbooks called Brihatrayi, large textbooks in Sanskrit. They are Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, and Ashtanga Hridayam. These are books actually even available today with English translation, so you can find them even around today. Then Ayurveda got further specialized into 8 branches from 1000 BCE to 800 BCE. The branches are internal medicine, which is our branch today, surgery, ENT, pediatrics, toxicology, psychiatry, rejuvenation, and reproductive medicine. It is interesting to note that Ayurveda was already specialized into various branches as the modern world in ancient times.
Anisha, that's very interesting. And to me, it's very interesting to see that they had those specializations so many years ago. So it sounds like Ayurveda has originated in ancient times, has a lot of scientific basis to it. But my question is, how is it relevant to us today? Like, it's thousands of years old. We all see that things have changed now. How do you find relevance when you read Ayurveda to our modern lives?
Yes, that's a good question. Today, humans are more disconnected from nature than ever before. Naturally sourced foods have been replaced by genetically engineered, heavy pesticide sprayed, non-biodegradable, and non-sustainable plastic packaged goodies that satisfy our senses but deplete our body of nutrients. Often the list of ingredients shows a mix of different chemicals and preservatives. Animals have lost their natural habitat and soil itself has lost its value. Our lifestyle is no longer in tune with nature as we use artificial lights to lengthen our days, and 24 hours seem insufficient for our lives. Exercise and activity have become limited with availability of advanced transportation to and from work. However, despite modern advances and conveniences, quick and easy appliances, life itself has become more complicated and more stressful. Chronic conditions such as diabetes, obesity, cancers, anxiety, and depression are on the rise. In such times, I believe a return to our roots in nature, taught by Ayurveda, can bring back health and harmony into our lives. The ancient Ayurvedic principles are nothing but a simple means of connecting with the natural rhythm of the universe and living in tune with nature. We will see this in the coming slides, which will explain the philosophy of Ayurveda.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was very interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing how we connect with Ayurveda today.
All right, thank you, Amrita. Let me move on to the next slide here. All right, so moving on to philosophy. So what philosophy is Ayurveda using? It's called the Sankhya philosophy or Sankhya philosophy. It forms the backbone of today's Ayurveda. Sankhya means, as some of you know, Sanskrit, it comes from the root words Sat, which means truth, or Sankhya, which means number. There are 24 parts of this philosophy. That's where the number comes from, which I have listed in the slides. And let's go over some of these. So it is believed that all nature, all manifestation is an interplay of two basic things, which is one is consciousness called Purusha, and the other is nature or Prakriti. So when consciousness and Prakriti come together, they form the entire universe. The first manifestation of this is cosmic intelligence, which is called Mahat in Sanskrit. Nature, if you notice, has an inherent intelligence. There is an order to things, such as the four seasons. So there is an intelligence in nature, believe it or not. And then the next, from that comes the cosmic ego. which is called ahankara in Sanskrit. Now, ego does not mean in a negative way. Ego pretty much means the power of differentiation and diversification. So once this develops, we have the numerous manifestations, living things, non-living things, and so on. Then if you look at each individual being, the living being, there is something called manas, which is mind. The mind connects our inner world to our outer world in each individual. So mind is on the individual level that is connecting the external and internal. Now, what are the five elements? So it is believed there are five causal or unmanifested elements, which are sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. How these are present all around us. How do we receive them into our system? We receive them through the five senses, which, as you know, are ears, skin, eyes, tongue, and nose. And in turn, we have five organs of action, which per Ayurveda are vocal cords, hands, feet, urogenital tract, and anus. There are five building blocks or causal elements in nature. This is very important. So these are space or ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So the philosophy is presented to you in a nutshell here. I will elaborate more as we go along. All right, now we come to the concept of the subtle energies. Ayurveda recognizes three vital energies or doshas, which are fundamental for universal functioning. We have the energy of movement and transportation called vata, the energy of transformation called pitta, and the energy of cohesion and lubrication called kapha. So vata is what makes things move. Pitta helps to convert, change, transform, and is the energy of metabolism, whereas kapha brings things together and holds things together. That is a broad way of explaining those three energies. Now, each of these in turn is connected to the basic elements that we saw in the previous slide. So which are the basic elements? Again, they are the space, air, fire, water, and earth, right? So vata is said to be composed of space and air, pitta of fire, minimally water, and kapha is mainly of earth and water. The three doshas, so three is same as three Sanskrit as in English. They are responsible for all governing functions. So these are the energies which are responsible for everything, all functions, external and internal, body and mind, anabolic and catabolic, growth, sustenance, and disintegration. So the interplay of these three energies controls the functions of the entire universe. Okay. Now let's go over the concept of the basic elements again, since this is pretty much the backbone, the foundation of Ayurveda, the three energies and the basic elements. There are five basic elements of Ayurveda that encompass the entire cosmos. So that is space or ether, air, fire, water, and earth. All matter on this planet, mountains, rivers, volcanoes, trees, animals, fish, birds, whether living or non-living, are comprised of at least one of these five elements. The five elements also come together to make the human body structure. So if you look around, please look around you, any objects that you see, say the telephone, the computer, the wall, the stove, the fan, they're comprised of one or more of these elements. So each of them around us is comprised of one of these elements. Now, similarly, even the human body is comprised of the same 5 elements. So each of us occupies a certain space. Our solid organs have the earth element. Our body is composed of roughly 50 to 60% of water. Our breath is our air, and the digestive juices represent the fire element. Thus, the same elements are both internally and externally present. This understanding is fundamental to knowing our link with nature.
Thank you. That is such a deep and great understanding of the basis of Ayurveda. So that is pretty incredible, Anusha, and especially being doctors ourselves, to see how well organized it is and how much scientific thinking went behind thousands of years back in Ayurveda. That is pretty mind-boggling to me. So really nice. And I also was looking at it and see how the environment and our body, how they are connecting, or how much importance we are. I mean, we all talk about pollution and how it affects our lungs and so many things in the environment. But we are talking about Ayurveda, which is thousands of years back. So how does, now listening to this and the important connection between anything outside and our body and our inner self, how do you see that? How does Ayurveda see our connection with nature?
Right, that is the very essence of Ayurveda, understanding this concept that we come from nature and ourselves, we are linked. So matter and consciousness, when they come together, form nature, which is Prakriti. Prakriti is another word for nature in Ayurveda or Sanskrit. Matter is made of the 5 building blocks. Again, space, air, fire, earth, and water. These matter are formed, moved, transformed, or disintegrated by the subtle energies, which are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So you have the 5 basic elements and the 3 energies. If you see the human body, it is also structurally made up of the same building blocks, and it also has the phases, so the energy phases, which is non-material, which is anabolism, metabolism, and catabolism. So we have the structural part, which is made up of the 5 elements, and we have the 3 energies within us as well, which is why, say, in the early phase of life, we are growing, and then there is sustenance where we maintain for several years, or few decades, I should say. And then there is also the disintegration phase, which is a part of nature, which is part of almost everything that exists around us. So if you expand your thinking to look at the outside world, or I should say, we expand our thinking to look at the outside world, all functions are governed similarly. All matter is composed similarly. So we have matter and functions, and everything is composed of the basic building blocks and the 3 energies. We ourselves form, change, and disintegrate into nature. It is essential to understand this unbreakable link that we have with nature, so we can actually tune our bodies and our minds with nature.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very deep. Like I said, it's very interesting to me, how well intertwined we are, and here we are trying to, discover or rediscover what Ayurveda has taught us. So thank you. I'll let you continue with the rest of your talk. Thank you.
All right. So now we come to what is our body made of, a little more in depth here. And the perspective of health is now brought in once we understand the broad philosophy of what is Ayurveda, where it originates from. Um, we come to the actual body. So the body constitution. There are 7 possible body constitutions. This is also called as Prakriti in Sanskrit. So what are we made of? Now, it is said that there are 7 constitutions. One is one of each. So you can be a pure Vata constitution. That is, we all have the 3 energies within us. As I said, the 5 building blocks, the 3 energies within us. But one energy or dosha is more predominant in an individual, then they are called, or they are said to be made of the Vata body constitution. Similarly, you can have the Pitta body constitution or the Kapha body constitution. Then there are the dual constitutions where 2 energies are more dominant in the person. So they can be Vata Pitta, Pitta Kapha, or Vata Kapha constitutions. There is a very rare body constitution where all 3 energies, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, are in balance. So that is called the Tridoshik, or all 3 body constitutions in balance in the person. And this is supposed to be extremely rare and a very blessed person. Now, let me go over each individual constitution in a little more details, and you can use your observation of people around you or people in your family or your friends, and understand that this you might have seen yourself. So the people with Vata constitution, where Vata is the primary energy, the predominant energy in them. Now, if you remember, Vata is composed of space and air. So these people are tall and slender. They don't put on weight very easily. So there are people who might be eating the same amount of food, but remain skinny. They are active. If you remember, Vata is the energy of movement, of action. So they are active. They like to be on the go. They are creative. The space element and the air element makes them enthusiastic, and they like to move. So they are creative and enthusiastic. Oh, just a second. Yeah, so the Vata person would be energetic, enthusiastic, creative, loves to move, loves to talk. And then you have the Pitta body constitution. The Pitta body constitution is made of primarily, what is Pitta made of? Fire and a little bit of water. So these people have medium build in terms of physical features. Now, fire is strong, is sharp. So these people will have sharp eyes. They have sharp features, and they would be also sharp in their mind. So the energy acts not just on the body, but also in their mind. So they will be witty, critical. They will they are go-getters. They are achievers. They are task-oriented. They like to get things done. They are list makers. They are perfectionists. So these people, Pitta body constitution, can have a sharp mind. They can also get upset pretty easily. So they can be irritable. But if you want somebody on the team to get your job done, these Pitta people are going to get it done for you. Then you have the Kapha body constitution. So earth and water, think about it. Earth and water, these elements are like soothing and stoic. So these people made up of the earth element will have good, they're well built, they have large features. So they might have large eyes, large nose and muscles and joints, and they will have nice thick curly hair. They would be also in their mind having that earth and water element. So they will be the ones who will be caring, loving, good listeners. They are good supporters. They will stand behind you, never leave you. That is a Kapha body constitution. Then there are the dual constitution, which actually, in reality, is what most of us are. They have a mix of features of two different constitutions. So say Vata Pitta, for example, would be space, air, fire, right? So these people like to be on the go. They're not just moving, they want to get things done. So Vata Pitta, just imagine forest fire. They're like that. They're going to keep going. They might burn themselves out, and they get tired pretty easily because they're doing things too much. So this will be Vata Pitta. Similarly, you can have Pitta Kapha or Vata Kapha constitutions as well. And then there is a Tridoshic constitutions where all three energies are in balance. And this is supposed to be 1 in million people who would have um, this kind of constitution. So they're the very rare, they are the saints. They are blessed with not just good health, but a sound mind. The various saints that came along and did some good work, extremely selfless. They have all their energies and doshas in balance. They are called the Tridoshic constitution. So this is a fun part. If you want to practically put this into effect, look around you, see what people are. For example, my 7-year-old daughter has great fun uh, diagnosing people on TV, or everyone that she comes across is this person Vata Pitta or Pitta Kapha, and she just enjoys that. So body constitutions are linked to the three energies, and each of these energies are linked to the same 5 basic elements. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. All right, now we come to the concept of mind. So most of our Western medicine textbooks will focus primarily on the body, and also there are chapters on the mind. Ayurveda gives equal importance to the mind. Like we said in the first slide, life is a combination of body, mind, senses, and soul. So all these are given equal importance, which is the guiding principle that Ayurveda recommends for better health. So the mind moves between 3 states or qualities called sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now let me go over what this means. These are the mental qualities. So sattva means, it signifies peace, harmony, balance, clarity, purity, intelligence, everything good, everything calm is the sattva. So when you feel extremely calm and happy, and you feel you're functioning great, that is a sattvic or sattva state of mind. Then comes the rajas. Rajas is the motion, the movement state of mind. So it signifies action. Now, with action comes turbulence. So there is stimulation, there is action, and there can be turbulence. So this is the rajasic or rajas state of mind. Stimulation, action, turbulence. And then comes the tamas. So tamas signifies the exact opposite of rajas. So there is inaction, inertia, dullness, ignorance, lethargy. So this is more of the lazy state of mind. So all of us, if you think of your day, will go between the 3 states: the sattva, the rajas, the action state, the calm state, and the inertia or laziness state. All 3 are the states of mind. The goal is to bring the mind from a state of rajas, which is overstimulation and excitement, and state of tamas, which is dullness and lethargy, laziness, ignorance, to the ideal state, which is the state of sattva or balance and purity. we function optimally at our best, not overexcited, not dull. We function optimally at the sattva state or sattvic state of mind. Now let's go over, so Ayurveda believes that mind has different elements or different subdivisions, if you may call it. So there is the perceptive mind, the manas. This is also given the word manas. There is a perceptive mind, which through the sense organs receives the elements and the energies from the environment and transmits it to our ego. So this is the externally facing mind or the perceptive mind. So everything that happens in our environment, we receive them through our senses into our perceptive mind. Then it transmits this information that we are getting from the environment into the ego. Now, as I said before, ego doesn't really mean a negative word in Sanskrit. This is a loose translation from Sanskrit. So ego here, or ahankara as it's called, is the differentiating part of the mind where it says this is external versus this is internal. So it categorizes what is yours versus mine, what is external, internal, and then it transmits this further to the inner mind. Now, the inner mind is called chitta. This has further divisions. It has this conscious part and the unconscious part or subconscious part. It uses the intelligence called buddhi. This is the intelligence, not the cosmic intelligence, but the individual intelligence. It's called the buddhi, to further discriminate and make decisions. So that is the inner mind. Let me move on a little bit. Okay, now we come to a very interesting abstract concept called bliss. So there is a consciousness, as we saw already. There's a consciousness that pervades the universe, that brings life to the nature, to Prakriti, right? Our innermost mind, according to Ayurveda, is a part of this universal consciousness, and it can be called, in today's world, we call it the soul, right? The soul is said to be beyond the level of intelligence or buddhi and cannot be understood by rationalization. So this is very interesting, that soul cannot be understood by intelligence alone. So you cannot experience it by rationalizing what is going on around you. In fact, the thoughts that muddle the mind, so together with sensory perception and ego, when you receive those senses inputs from the environment and process them, differentiate them with the help of your perceptive mind and the ego, this further throws a veil on the pure consciousness that lies within. So thoughts are like ripples on the surface of water, which cloud or hide the underlying calm and depth, right? So the soul is said to be experienced in deep sleep, where if you look at the phrase that comes from Sanskrit, says, I know nothing. So the soul is a witness that experiences everything that happens in our lives, but we can't reach it with thoughts and with rationalization. So how do we reach or connect with our soul? This is a very abstract concept. Meditation, now, if you want to understand this, how do we quieten the thoughts that create ripples on the surface of water, on the surface of the soul, and hide the soul within us? So meditation helps us quieten the thoughts and experience that connection to the universal self that is part of us as into our individual beings. And this achieves that which is called Sat Chit Ananda. So Chit is a soul, the true everlasting happiness of the innermost mind or soul. This can be translated as bliss.
Oh, thank you, Anusha. That was so much deep, profound, understanding of Ayurveda, and I'm just so impressed with the understanding behind it and the science that goes. And as we look at the medicine we practice, we always talk about, now we are talking about body constitutions, more like personalized, targeted medicine when we treat people, because one size does not fit all. So everybody has a different body constitution, and it's so interesting to see that that existed long time back, and it's in the books, it's written there. So that is just very, very interesting to me to see how every person is different. And I think that point you made about us looking around and see what are, I mean, obviously I was thinking about what is my body constitution while you were talking, and very interesting, and to know how things go like that, and that's the importance and how you should treat each person. So that was a lot of deep thinking. Another thing I've felt was, just we all talk about, life balance and mental and physical balance. The understanding of mind, how profound, how much more the understanding is in Ayurveda. I just feel like there's so much more depth into what you are telling us about ourselves. So we all want to know what is happening, and that's amazing to realize what goes on. And obviously, that sattva, that would be an amazing state to be in then. So I was just going to ask you, there was the last slide about bliss. The concept of the mind is very abstract. So how do you link it to our daily life today? How do we bring it into our daily life? If you can just elaborate a little bit on that.
Yes, absolutely. So mental stress has become an inevitable part of our modern life, whether it is stress for regarding time or health or business or relationship. Everyone has experienced some form of stress. Most of us have also learned how to manage the stress, either by discussion, talking with friends, or getting involved in a selfless activity, or following a favorite hobby. So, meditation is a time proven way that helps us deal with stress and achieve a state of calm and peace. More and more apps and talks about mindfulness and meditation are developing. Um, the benefits of meditation are endless. From reducing stress, lowering blood pressure, better sleep, improving anxiety levels, and also improved focus and concentration. So, the basic concepts of the mind, once you understand that, it helps us open up to the value of the ancient practice of meditation for a better life.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let me move on to the next part, which I guess will be more of a practical application. So far, we have looked at philosophy and concepts more into the abstract world of where Ayurveda came from and how it applies to our modern lives. What is a link that we have with nature? This is what we have talked about so far. Now I want to get down to the actual body. Being doctors, we are so much focused on the body every day, how to improve our health in day-to-day lives. So here I'm presenting to you the Ayurvedic concepts of digestion, which is supposedly the most important part of our body. All right, so digestive fire. Agni is fire in Sanskrit. we have an Agni or fire in our body. This is called the digestive fire. And the human body has an inbuilt digestive fire that cooks all that we consume and transforms it into nutrients, which in turn form and reform the cells of our body. So if you think about what you cook in this on the stove, you bring in some raw vegetables, and then you start cooking it and make it more digestible, more palatable, so that you can enjoy eating it, and not just eat it, but you can digest it. We can't just consume, I mean, some people do, but most people can't just consume raw stuff straight away and live on that. Similarly, our body, whatever you consume, it cooks it internally. So you consume the food and the body cooks it internally using the digestive fire. So that's why it is compared to the fire element. And then it converts it into nutrients that can be absorbed and that help develop and sustain the body. So this digestive fire has 13 parts. The primary location is the gastrointestinal tract. It is called the Jataragni. So that is the primary digestive fire that we have in our gut. Then the remaining 12 is a more advanced concept where there are 7 tissue level fires and 5 elemental fires which digest the food at the subtle levels. So tissues in Sanskrit, in Ayurveda, 7 tissues, so named in Sanskrit Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Maja, Shukla, which is serum, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, nervous tissue, and reproductive tissue. These are the 7 broad divisions of tissues in our body according to Ayurveda. At each tissue level, there is a digestive fire element, a more subtle element compared to the gut, and also the elemental level. As the food is broken down into its elements, into the nutrients, there are elemental levels fires as well. Now, when our digestive fire is strong, we have normal levels of hunger, right? With a good digestion, the food that we eat nourishes our body, keeps our mind sharp, and we enjoy good health. So when we say eat nutrient poor food, even though we are trying to digest that, the body is not getting enough nutrients. So we might actually end up feeling more hungry because the body is not getting nourished. Our hunger levels for Ayurveda are directly connected to this digestive fire. So, in fact, there are ancient chants which oftentimes Indian families will say right before eating, which says, God, please help that my digestive fire is strong enough that I can digest anything that I eat. So a lot of importance is given to the digestive fire so that we can absorb what we eat and prevent any diseases from the food that we consume. That brings me to the next concept, which is a very in concept. People like to discuss this a lot these days. So inflammation and toxins have a word called ama. This is a loose translation into English in Ayurveda. So we talked about digestion and the fire. With poor digestion, so if your digestion is not good, we have undigested particles of food that remain in our digestive tracts, and this is called ama in Ayurveda. This ama, or undigested material, is said to be the root cause of inflammation and disease. Our ancient seers believed that when our system does not digest the material that it ingests properly, the undigested food causes slowing and sluggishness. it blocks the flow of the appropriate channels. Over time, this causes inflammation and it spreads all over the body. Thus, chronic diseases develop. So the ama clogs the passages, blocks the channels, and causes these symptoms. So there's heaviness, dullness, lethargy, malaise, weakness, poor appetite, excess salivation, and lack of taste. Symptoms of bloating, constipation. So we have all experienced at different times when we have eaten something that is beyond our digestive power. Symptoms like that, sour belching or acidity, bad breath, overall feeling of just sluggishness resulting from a clogged, stagnated system. So just imagine if you binge on some heavy, uh, foods which are kapha producing. So kapha involves the earth element, which brings in sluggishness. So if you overconsume at the wrong time of the day, a lot of say cookies, cakes, pastries, stuff like that, which we know are not necessarily healthy, then you will feel some symptoms of sluggishness, of laziness, of just being tired, lack of interest, even if it can affect the mind. So you might not feel as sharp in your mind. You might reach out for some tea or coffee, so this is something that we practically experience. Now it's believed that if you consistently keep doing that, as in bringing in this sluggishness to your system with poor food or affecting your digestion levels, which we will see in the next slide, then over time, the inflammation spreads into the entire body, affecting specific organ systems, and chronic diseases develop. All right, so here is something that most people like to talk about in Ayurveda. So these are the food guidelines. I have just presented here some top guidelines, though there is much more if you go into more detail of Ayurveda. I'm giving you like a broad overview. Ayurveda has outlined certain fundamental principles to improve our digestion, clear the channels, reduce inflammation. So how do we aid our digestion so what we consume does not become that ama or toxin, and instead the system functions optimally? So here are certain useful tips for you in day-to-day life. I know this is a perfect world, so adopt what you can and what you can do it in your everyday life. Choose foods that are suitable to your particular body constitution. This is given a lot of importance. So if you consult with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they will be able to understand and diagnose what is your particular body constitution. It may not be the same for everybody. And accordingly, there are foods that are chosen which will suit your particular individual constitution. And this is supposed to be better. So it's not that everybody can eat the same food. Eat wholesome, organic, fresh, local foods whenever possible. Now, this we all strive for. I think this is a given, almost everybody knows that. Pay particular attention to how your food is processed before you consume. Again, this is something very interesting. So it's not just what you consume, but how was it made becomes very important. I'll give you an example here. You go to the store, find a packaged prepared meal of low fat, low carb, antioxidant and vitamin added perfect meal. And then you bring it home, microwave it, and you have it. Now compare that with getting some, say, even potatoes, which a lot of us would say is not maybe the healthiest vegetable, or getting some cabbage or broccoli, getting some vegetable. just adding some spices and cooking it on your stove and eating it fresh with say onions or garlic or what have you, palatable spices. Interesting. You compare that perfect meal of low fat, low carb meal that you can buy versus this meal that you just prepared quickly from some basic ingredients at your home, and think which one. I'm not going to make a judgment here, but you would pay attention to which one would be healthier, what you think would be healthier. So how things are processed becomes very important in terms of what you are consuming. So just pay attention to that, is what Ayurveda says. Then there is a unique concept in Ayurveda which is called food combinations. For example, sour fruits are not combined with milk. So that idea of getting a cup of orange juice and then having whole cereal with milk is not considered very healthy in Ayurveda. Even though the orange juice is very healthy for you, milk is good for you, fruits are good for you, that combination is supposedly not the best choice in Ayurveda. Why is that? So it comes from practical application. As we saw in the original slide, they had these concepts and then they did rigid testing to understand and test for efficacy. So for example, if you add a few drops of, say, lemon juice to your milk, it's going to curdle. And the same concept is what is understood within your body. Maybe that milk that you're consuming in combination with the sour items might cause some curdling and make it difficult for digestion, might cause clogging and stagnation, maybe develop into allergies and mucus formation. So quantity of food matters is the next part. Even good food in excess can overwhelm the system. Um, just because something is good, you cannot eat a whole lot beyond your digestive strength. Um, Now, in general, the principle is true that light foods can be eaten more because it's light and it's easily digestible. Heavy foods should be eaten less. Consider seasonal changes in the environment to decide on food choices. And we will look into this in more detail in the coming slides, which is also very unique concept that it's not just what you eat when you eat, but also you pay attention to what season is it currently. What you would eat in a sunny climate would be different compared to what you would want to eat in a very cold winter day. Avoid eating when not hungry. Avoid eating on the go. So if you grab something and you're driving and you're taking bites and driving to work, which I'm guilty of doing oftentimes as well, and you're eating just because you need to get that over and get through your day, which is part of modern life, it is not going to be as well digested as sitting down and spending that 5 or 10 minutes to just eat. So here we talked about how we aid our digestion by um, eating correctly so that we don't develop those toxins or inflammation and help our body system function optimally. Okay.
Thank you, Anusha. What a large topic to cover, and you did it so well and so easy to understand. So I speak on behalf of everyone. I mean, all of us have always got questions about what to eat, how to eat. But this is a very interesting concept that you explained, and like you put it down in your last slide, simple things which, pretty much we've been told or we understand. But I'm sure as we were listening to you, we were making auto suggestions like, okay, I probably don't need to do this, or this is how I can make a little difference that'll help me. So those are all things that we tell our patients also every day. And this is put so easy to understand. So that's really nice. I was also very impressed about maybe the slides 2 or 3 before that, when you talked about what is, how the disease process is explained in Ayurveda, the toxins, the digestive process. So, as we have read in medicine, we understand it in a different way. But when you talk about it, it is so scientific and so easy to understand what you're explaining, and how our body constitution and how the food passes. So very, very large topic, like I said, put in simply, and very, very useful. Thank you. And I know doing it in so few slides is amazing. I just had a question. I know you probably touched on it, but you had also talked about our body constitutions and how we can be in different body constitutions. So can you kind of tell us what kind of foods, I don't know if you can cover everything, but maybe what kind of foods for each body constitution, and how do you say which food to choose if you are Vata or Pitta, or is there a way you can tell us a little bit more about that also?
Yeah, so this is a very unique concept in Ayurveda. Unlike modern practices, it is not, as you said, it's not a one diet fits all idea. For example, so if you have a kapha body constitution, kapha is made of earth and water. So again, we link the energy to the basic elements. And so this constitution would tend to retain and build more easily. So it is best that you would choose lighter foods at regular intervals. If you're one of those who likes to undertake fasting for weight loss, you could do that because your body would maintain itself through the fast and it should be acceptable. Um, Now, if you're one of those who loves sweets, then you need to watch it. Sweets are heavy and they can add to your kapha, so you would eat that in moderation. On the contrary, if you have a vata constitution that is, as we know, composed of space and air, you would need grounding. So foods which are heavy and nourishing would be more ideal to vata. If a vata constitution eats contrary, so just because people say you should eat salads now, um, the kapha person does well on that light food, but the vata constitution, if they're gonna eat regularly dry light foods or salads, they will get weak and depleted. They might actually get depleting medical issues like osteoporosis. So, and now let's look at the third one. So, Pitta has a predominant fire element. So their body is already hot like a fire. This is just a very broad way of explaining. They should limit hot and spicy foods in excess. So an Ayurvedic practitioner would first determine your own body constitution, and not just that, also your current health. So it might be that one of your energies or might have been aggravated by lifestyle. So putting that together, what is your current Vikriti, what is your current state of health in combination with your stage of life. So, for example, kids are growing, so they're in the kapha stage, so it's okay to eat more heavy foods compared to, say, the elderly or people in their advanced stages of life, where they are in their vata phase of life. So putting this together with your body constitution, your current health, your current stage of life, your current location, the season, they would design a specific diet that would enhance your health on an individual level.
Yeah. No, thank you. Again, so much of individualized, I would say, counseling, or so much more goes into understanding of your body and what nourishment it needs. So again, very important. I know we usually, with the limited time we have at our office, we just tell them eat a healthy diet. But listening to you, it looks like there's so much more that goes into just saying eat a healthy diet or a low carb diet. So much more. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on from food to lifestyle. So Ayurveda also looks at your daily routine, your lifestyle. Um, now, Ayurveda would recommend what time you need to wake up, what time you need to eat, what are your activities that you can do. So it provides you some guidelines as to a general lifestyle then rather than just giving a blanket statement, eat healthy, eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise more, which I guess I tell almost every patient who comes to my clinic. So here, looking at the Ayurveda side, there are more specific guidelines that it provides for a good, healthy lifestyle. So daily routine, Ayurveda recommends wake up early, ideally in the 3 hours before sunrise. Now this is ancient times, but it's said that before sunrise, sattva, just in the couple hours, 3 hours before sunrise, sattva is at its peak. So that is a time when everything is peaceful and calm, and the mind is pure and in a very truthful, calm, steady state. So that would be a great time to wake up, focus on what you're going to do in the day, maybe get some meditation because the environment is supporting you with the same sattvic state. Then there's a daily cleansing routine which we all follow. Ayurveda actually has guidelines on that. Other than brushing teeth, it also recommends to scrape your tongue, which I guess is a daily practice in back in India, but not so much here in the West. There's also gargling, shower, just the daily cleansing routines. And then Abhyanga, this is a very unique concept in Ayurveda, body oiling. It's supposed to be so there are specific guidelines on what kind of oil that you should use. So for example, Vata Pitta constitution could go for coconut oil, and again, there are specific directions on how to apply the oil. It's like a little massage that you do in 5-10 minutes. It's not difficult. It's just a pretty routine process that is recommended in Ayurveda. Now, why do this? The number one that people like is it tones the muscles, the skin, so it actually prevents wrinkles, slows down aging process of your skin. Also helps with calming the mind and healing the skin. So this is called Abhyanga or body oiling, and it is followed by exercise and then a shower. Exercise is specifically designed according to the individual capability. So for example, a Kapha constitution can exercise much more than a Vata constitution who's going to get tired quickly. So there are daily morning exercises or even yoga that you could do, which would tone the muscles. And this process is supposed to help in improving digestion and removing blockages, clearing channels. So as we all know in Western medicine, exercise is good for you. And Ayurveda says the same thing, that go ahead and exercise, but it gives a little beyond that, how much and who can do what exercises. Yoga is a sister science of Ayurveda. And again, yoga is highly recommended to use body postures to tone your muscles and get you going in the morning. It helps your digestive ability for the day. Then food. So not just what to eat, which we saw in the slide before, but also when and how much and how to eat. So these are equally important. Have a moderate breakfast, a good lunch, and a light dinner. Timing matters. Again, we are used to advice that says eat a big breakfast, like breakfast like a king, and then eat a lighter lunch and a very light dinner. Ayurveda has a little bit different advice. It says eat the heaviest meal when the sun is at its peak and your digestion is at its best midday during lunchtime. So that would be something like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That would be the most heaviest grounding meal that you need for your day to carry you through with your activity levels. Lighter breakfast and a light dinner. Avoid daytime naps, but if you must, then don't do it for more than 20 minutes. Here again, the body constitution is taken into account. So people with, say, kapha who kind of retain and build easily, and they have more sluggishness in the system, can get more susceptible to tamas or laziness. They should avoid daytime naps as much as possible. The vata or even vata pitta or pitta vata constitution, they can overdo, they can get overexcited, which I'm guilty of actually. Run around the entire morning, wake up and do a lot more than they're supposed to do. They will get tired during the day. And if they want to nap, then you would not, again, do more than 20 minutes if possible. Daytime naps are discouraged in Ayurveda. And then sleep time. So early to bed, early to rise, actually encouraged in Ayurveda. So sleep should be within a few hours of sunset. Avoid late nights. There is timing recommended for when to do what in your daily routine. Let me go on to the next slide. Okay. Seasonal routine. Now, I mentioned this before, and I want to go over it a little more here. So the hours of the day and the months of the year are also influenced by the three energies. Excuse me. So it's not just our body, but like we saw before, everything in the environment, whether it's the trees, it's the plants, it's even the day, the time, and the months of the year, the seasons. They're all influenced by the three energies. Kapha is dominant during spring and early summer when there's more wetness or moistness in the atmosphere. Pitta, which is hot, is as you might expect at its peak during summer and the early fall months. And I've kept into account a little bit of the Seattle weather here when I put this out. Vata during late fall and winter months when the weather, the climate is cold and dry, and that is vata. The air element, the space element, it's at its peak. So the foods that we choose during each season should keep in mind the natural rhythms of nature. Our clothes, our activities, what kind of exercise we do, what kind of yoga we do, even breathing practices should be aligned to the seasons. So like I said, like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the pitta time of the day. So the mornings, there are different timings for when the energies are at its peak. 6 to 10 is, say, the kapha time, and then the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the pitta time of the day when digestion is at its peak. So you should have a good grounding lunch at this time. At a night, when you are awake at the same time, so say 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. would also be a pitta time of the day. If you are awake during that time, you will feel hungry. I don't know if you have experienced that. If you are sleeping, that digestion is at its peak. So the digestive juices in your body would be put to use to digest the food that you consumed at night during dinner. But if you are awake, you may have noticed that you might not be able to help getting a snack. That is why you should avoid late nights according to Ayurveda, because you're going to get hungry and you might grab for a snack that you can't resist. And these are, again, general guidelines. I know there are people who work late at nights because their work requires them so. So these are just general guidelines. You have to adopt what is practical for you in your own life. Herbs and spices should be chosen in tune with weather of the place and seasonal variations. So for example, in the summer, you would choose more cooling spices, cooling vegetables, so cucumbers, watermelon, mint, fennel, cilantro. So these are the cooling things that you would choose in the summer, versus the winter, you want spices that are more heating, that preserve the heat in your system, and also help with some stimulation, fight off laziness or sluggishness. So you would use, say, ginger, cinnamon, ajwain, which is carom seeds, hing, which is asafoetida. So we use these kind of spices based on the seasons. That is about the seasonal routine.
Yeah, Anusha, thank you. Wow, I bet when we are listening to you, at least I was thinking I'm so guilty of not following a good routine. And especially having been home for a lot of us during this last several months, everybody has a different routine. The kids have been doing all-nighters, and it's just interesting to see how things changed, and the importance of having that routine. So getting back to our routines is something at least I'm making a note of, like, no, should not sleep that late every day. So important, especially when you understand how the foods, and so true about snacking when you're up late at night. And it wouldn't happen if we were sleeping at the right time. So very interesting, very practical notes there. Interesting. Okay. I had a question. I know when we go to the stores here and we find foods all the time in all seasons, pretty much a lot of foods. At the same time, we really enjoy certain foods at certain time, whether, seasonal changes. And if you're having your pumpkin soup during Thanksgiving here, or having the sugar cane during the right season, it's different. It tastes different. But with the availability in stores for foods almost all the time, how do you make that distinction, and how do you kind of choose foods based on the season, especially when they're available most of the time?
Right, right. That is true. So, during fall and winter months, when Vata is at its peak with cold and dry weather, we should choose foods with balancing qualities. Nature itself provides us with grounding vegetables such as squashes and pumpkins during the fall and winter months. So, for example, a warm cup of spiced pumpkin soup would be a great choice for winter. On the contrary, in summer, when it's hot outside, you could go with a cooling drink, such as lassi, the cool yogurt drink, or coconut water. So again, these foods are available locally where the season is hot or sunny weather. So you would find coconuts more in the tropics, and these are cooling. The water would be cooling. Choose light foods during the spring season, which is a kapha season, which is primary time for allergies that bother a lot of people. Add more spices to your food and avoid daytime sleep in this season, the spring, to counteract kapha. Even breathing practices. So we will look at yoga in a bit, but there are warming breathing practices versus cooling breathing practices. So warming pranayams like Bhastrika or sun salutations are great choices for spring, whereas cooling Shitali pranayam, cat cow pose, or spinal twist, they are ideal for the hot summer days. Ritu Sandhi is the time period in Ayurveda of about 8 days before the end of the previous season and 8 days of the start of the new season. So the change of season, as we often hear patients say, and ourselves, that a lot of people fall sick during the change of season, it is given special importance in Ayurveda. This is a time when it is important to slowly make a change in diet and lifestyle with foods appropriate to the new season being added slowly into your diet. Often people do cleanses during this time to prepare for the new season in India. So that even here you will come across spring cleanse or fall cleanse. The idea is to kind of prepare your body for a change of season. So yeah, seasons are given special importance in terms of how you should modify your diet or lifestyle based on seasonal changes in the weather.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That is true. And we certainly enjoy certain foods much more, like mangoes are in the summer. So even though they might be available, there has, again, the, the interplay of environment, the season, earth, and our inner body, what we are taking in, so important. And it's just interesting how we see it here. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I am moving on to the next concept of health. So health is more than a healthy body. And this is a very fundamental understanding. So it's not just what you eat, but your daily routine, seasonal routine, your exercise, your lifestyle, and your mind as well. So a person is healthy when he is balanced in his body, mind, and spirit. So what is a secret of good health? According to Ayurveda, balanced nutrition, which we all know, we have to remember those food guidelines, choose organic, natural, wholesome foods, but also not just what you eat, but eat at the right time and according to your constitution. Follow a good daily seasonal routine, avoid overindulgence and addiction to vices, which we all know. Vices such as alcohol, smoking, they're bad for you. We all know that, and Ayurveda says the same. Don't overindulge in things to keep your balance. Optimal exercise. Now, here is not just exercise as much as you should or beyond your capacity, but optimal exercise and optimal relaxation. So, sleep is very important as well. Exercise and sleep both have an important aspect to your health that you should pay attention to. Then philanthropy. Now, this is again a great concept. As we all know, philanthropy, selfless service, does actually improve your health, according to Ayurveda. Being truthful, compassionate, and being of a forgiving nature, which we again experience personally, that you forgive, you yourself feel better in body and mind, so it improves your health overall. Your mind plays a role in your health. Knowledge, meditation, and yoga are ingredients of disease prevention and sustained good health. Of these, we will look into a little more on yoga and meditation in the coming slides. So, knowledge also, just getting that information of what is good for you and adopting those practices which we know by knowledge is good for us. So all this actually helps in improving health. Okay. All right, so now we talked about health, let's talk about disease. Definition of disease per Ayurveda, I have listed out. So disease, interesting, is being out of balance in body or mind. There are several definitions. So that which is accompanied by suffering or pain is called disease, or disease is just being out of balance. All diseases Now, this is an important statement. All diseases, according to Ayurveda, can be linked to a poor digestive fire or poor digestion. All right, and there are 6 steps of disease development. Let's go over quickly, just to give you a brief overview of what this is. So there is accumulation of imbalanced dosha or humor. Now, what we're talking about here is Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. So one of these energies in your body gets out of balance. It might be related to the food, it might be related to the lifestyle, it might be related to mental stress. Any of that can cause an imbalance. And once there is an imbalance, now if there is a consistent imbalance that it just goes on and on, the imbalance, then there's an excessive increase in these imbalances. And then when it has reached that threshold of when the body is not able to manage it at that level anymore, it starts spreading, and it spreads to the other tissues from where it started to all over the body. And then as it spreads, this imbalance will localize at a weak spot in your body. So all humans will have an area where they are more susceptible. So for some people, it might be their lungs or sinuses. Some people, it might be the gut. They're most susceptible to gut imbalances. So, so on and so forth. So it localizes into a weak spot in your body. And then there is the manifestation of disease symptoms. And this is where you will actually see and feel the symptoms of the disease. If nothing is done and this continues, then it will differentiate into complications of the disease. Um, so the disease can be turned around. By this understanding, you can turn back into balance by understanding that there is an imbalance. When you have the knowledge that something is wrong and you take the appropriate steps to bring back the balance, then you can turn around. So the sooner you achieve that understanding and correct your imbalances, the sooner you get back to your state of health and prevent disease-related complications.
Again, a very interesting concept of disease and health. And again, like you said, Anusha, we always tell our patients to, eat healthy, have that daily routine. But to see how it actually leads on to not having that, leads on to a disease process as explained, and also having, a routine to prevent diseases. So we are always talking about preventive medicine. And personally, as I listen to you, I feel like, we are sitting there, we are treating diseases, and but in Ayurveda, I see a lot of it, how you're preventing. And when you were talking, I was just thinking of a little small story about when I went to see my eye doctor, and she told me you have dryness of the eye and use these drops. At the same time, when I do yoga, they tell me to do exercises to increase lacrimal secretion. So I was just seeing the 2 points, like one was to prevent it from even happening or treat it if it's dry. And the other place was go ahead, treat when there is a disease process. So the more and more I'm hearing it, how much we are in control of taking steps to prevent ourselves from getting there. So very, very interesting concept. And, of course, it must be a huge, huge thing that you've been studying and learning. But again, how would you explain like what we are doing nowadays in the modern world? Are there things that we are doing that are causing or leading to diseases, or how does Ayurveda explain that?
Yes, so there are 3 main reasons for disease causation in Ayurveda. Improper use of senses is number 1. So, for example, your eyes, if all of us are guilty these days, too much of screen time can affect your eyes. So you are overusing your sense of vision. Same way, underusing. So if you are sitting in dark light and reading, so that's going to affect your eyes too. So improper, either overuse or underuse or wrong use of your senses can lead to disease causation. Also, there's something called prajnaparada, like a knowledge, knowingly doing what is wrong. So you know what not to do, but you still do it. So there's a transgression of wisdom. Um, Wisdom is comprised of three parts: intelligence, willpower, and memory. So so intelligence is where you know what not to do, but you still do it. For example, a person smokes, right? They know it's bad for them, but they can't help it. They understand it, but they still do it. And then willpower. Willpower is control, that they are not able to control their own actions. So there's a transgression of willpower. And then memory, which is a third part of wisdom, where you have the memory that um, this particular action caused you a problem, but you go ahead and repeat that. So here you are knowingly doing what is wrong. That is also an important aspect of disease causation. And then the third part is time. So it's said in Ayurveda that health creation requires conscious awareness, but for health deterioration, time is enough. That means that to create health, to maintain, preserve, improve health, you have to work on it. You have to eat the right things, take care of your health, do your exercise, find time to relax, to sleep well. So you're actually creating health by conscious awareness of what is good for you. But to deteriorate in health, as to get sick, time is enough. You don't do anything, automatically nature will take its course and health deterioration happens. So time is sufficient for that.
Wonderful. Yeah. It tells us again to pay attention to ourselves, our inner body, and everything around us. It's so important what we tell people, the instructions, and then to just, give that time for ourselves to carry it out. So great. Note taken. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go on to the last part. The last set of slides here is about healing. This is what we all want to know, that if we have a problem, how do we heal the problem? Um, if you look at Ayurveda, it uses some basic scientific principles to help healing from diseases. So there's anti-cause, which means that you know what causes your disease, there's knowledge of the disease causation, and then working against the cause. For example, people who are overweight, so there is excess kapha, should reduce daytime sleep to reduce the kapha or heaviness in the system, eat lighter foods, and increase activity. So you know what is causing it, and you take steps to work against the cause. That is anti-cause. Then the second principle is anti-disease. So knowledge of the disease itself and working against that disease process. For example, Ayurveda will suggest herbs such as turmeric in combination with Indian gooseberry or amla uh, in diabetes to remove stagnation in the tissues while also rejuvenating the tissues. So here we are looking at the disease process, what is causing it, and the disease itself, and then working against that disease by suggesting useful tips, herbs, and lifestyle measures. Then comes anti-cause and disease together. So making changes to counteract the cause and disease together. Example, buttermilk for malabsorptive disorders. Here it is warming and digestive. So it is a gut stabilizer and also nourishing. You're working on both the cause and the disease. Similar to the causation, but with beneficial effects. So this is the last part where you know that, this is what is causing the disease, but instead of using opposite, you use the same like factor. Example, abscess. So an infection or abscess, it has heat in it, it's hot. And to treat it, we apply heat. That helps it open up and drain. So like factors are used here for healing. Okay. I like that picture you put in there, Sagarika. Thank you. All right, so here we talk about yoga. Yoga is something that has gotten so popular in the West. Now, in the yogic philosophy, human body is composed of 5 layers or sheets. If there are any people who practice yoga here, they might have read about this. So there's the external layer of the body, which is a food sheet, which is Annamaya kosha, and that is made of matter. So that is just the external part. Inside, there are more subtle layers, which are the breath sheet called Pranamaya kosha, and then the mental sheet, Manomaya kosha, intellectual sheet, which is Vijnanamaya kosha, and then the bliss sheet, which is the Anandamaya kosha. So these are the different layers of our body system as a whole, not just the matter, but the mind, the breath, the intelligence, and the bliss sheet. This is part of yoga philosophy. Food only works on one aspect of your health. The rest can be balanced by yoga, breathing techniques, and meditation. So yoga works on principles called yama and niyama. Yama means restraint or discipline, and niyama means rules, laws, or principles, guiding principles. So both put together, I have listed these in English here: non-violence, truth, non-stealing, self-restraint, limiting greed and purity, cleanliness, contentment, dedication, self-study, and surrender to the eternal truth. So these are the guiding principles of yoga, yamas and niyamas, which often are taught in yoga classes. Daily practice of yoga can have numerous benefits, such as controlling heart rate, blood pressure, stress relief, better digestion, and stronger immunity, to name a few. Okay, so breathing techniques, this is becoming again very, very popular in the West now. Breathing techniques have numerous health benefits. Common breathing techniques are Anulom Vilom, which is an alternate nostril breathing, deep breathing, or ocean breath, as people call it here, Ujjayi, Kapalabhati, which is diaphragmatic breath, forced expiration or exhalation, and Brahmari, which is bee breath, which my kids love to do, and so on. So if you try adding 15 minutes of breathing practice to your morning or night routine, you might find that it unlocks immense possibilities by decluttering your brain and streamlining your thoughts and actions. So breathing works on that breath sheet, the pranamaya kosha that we talked about in yoga, and it's actually an essential part of yoga. In Eastern philosophy, humans have 7 energy centers or chakras. Each center controls a different aspect of our psychological system. So there's a root center called the Muladhara chakra, which is fear and survival. Then there's a sacral center, which stands for creativity and relationship. Solar plexus or Manipura chakra, which is ego and power center. In the heart center, which is Anahata chakra, which is love and compassion. And then there's the throat center, Vishuddhi chakra, which is the center for expression. Then the third eye center called the Agnya chakra, which stands for intuition. And then the crown center, which is the Sahasrara chakra, which stands for spirituality and bliss. Balancing these chakras. So there, I don't know if anybody does meditation, there's a chakra meditation. So balancing these chakras by meditation helps balance emotions and sets the stage for spiritual advancement. All right, so we come to the last slide today, which is about meditation. The 8 limbs of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, if you've heard about it. So the yama and the niyama that we went over in the previous slides about control, discipline, code of conduct. And then the asanas, which is the extremely popular part of the Western understanding of yoga here, which is the postures, the actual physical postures of yogasanas that we do. Pranayama, breath control, which people are learning and doing more and more these days, which is a pranayama. Pratyahara, or withdrawal of the senses. Dharana, concentration. Dhyana, meditation. And samadhi, or bliss. These last 4 are actually what is the ultimate goal of yoga. So the first 4 are just preparing you to reach that goal of meditation and samadhi, which is bliss. So if you see above, a life of principles, yoga and breath practices are just the beginning. This sets the stage for the higher practice of meditation. From ancient times, humans have been searching for everlasting happiness. While we cannot renounce our responsibilities to claim the Himalayas, we can't just quit everything, go and meditate for days on the top of a mountain. We can shape our day-to-day lives to become more balanced with meditation practices. It brings balance, harmony, peace into our lives with these ancient principles and practices. Too far?
So,
Okay, discussion, yeah.
yeah, thank you, Anusha. Wow, what a beautiful, long, and deep principles all poured into like the last 1.5 hours or something. This is amazing. And I just was so happy to hear about the yoga and exercise. Again, it keeps coming back. I tell all my patients exercise, but it stops there. But the layers of, understanding and what goes into exercise itself. And again, it's so personalized. Maybe one exercise type is not just right for all of us. Our age, our body constitution, everything differs. And that understanding or instructions are not given when we sit in our office with the limited time. We tell everybody, yes, you should eat healthy and exercise. But the importance of that to prevent diseases is huge. And, personally for me, the revelation was from going into aerobics and going into a group, class where we were doing so much workouts, to discovering yoga during this time has been amazing. It's not just about weight loss. It's just about understanding how your body is and getting that time for yourself to practice meditation, practice the breathing. And I'm sure a lot of you already do it, but personally for me, that was the best part about, not going to a gym in the last year. So, this is your last slide, but I just wanted to ask you one more question, especially when we sit in our offices, right? And people just want to come in and get a quick result. They come in, they see the doctor, they want to see something. It looks like Ayurveda is talking so much about more about healing, and it includes more than medicine. So do you have like a comment about how that goes about it?
Yes, Ayurveda looks at disease process on an individual level. So food and lifestyle, as we know today, are directly related to several chronic conditions. When you have an acute illness, getting quick relief and moving on is desirable. Um, so we are medical doctors. We certainly have faith in Western medicine, both in terms of achieving diagnosis and treatment. Um, Ayurveda can supplement Western medicine through identifying factors specific to your diet, your life, your body constitution that makes you susceptible to diseases and make suggestions for better health. Often the cause of chronic conditions stems from simple things such as your diet, your sleep, your habits, stress level, exercise, right? So correcting these can go a long way. And Ayurveda gives you specific recommendations on what, when, um, how to eat, sleep, exercise based on your own health and strength. Other than diet and lifestyle, as we saw, Ayurveda also brings suggestions related to yoga, meditation, breathing techniques. And what I did not cover here was also hundreds of herbs and spices and natural remedies that further bring peace, joy, and health to your life.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's again, like you said, you couldn't bring in some, that's a lot you've covered today. And I firstly want to thank all our audience. You guys have been so wonderful to join us this morning or evening. I know you're joining from different places. So it's really great to have, it was a small invited audience and we wanted to see people who were interested would benefit from it. And we also would like to get suggestions back from you. What other talks you'd like to listen from us. That would be wonderful. And I know just because in the interest of time, and you guys have already been so wonderful and sat through our long discussion, very meaningful, Anusha. I really want to thank you I have personally learned so much today from listening to you and making small notes here on the side, things that I would make sure that I try or make an effort to change. So this was very, very nice. And just maybe just the last slide, if you can advance to that.
Yeah, I also want to.
Yeah, so I'll just let you know that, we are again, Sagarika, Anusha, and myself, we are all part of the HALDI Living. And it's a very, very easy, HALDI actually stands for something you'll see on our website about how health professionals, doctors are creating this platform. So it's scientific, but we are also incorporating Ayurveda, yoga, which, we all find so much meaning in. My patients talk about yoga here, and I find meaning in it because I just recently started yoga, but it's just so much more ancient knowledge and wisdom that we can incorporate in our lives today. So I encourage you to follow us on social media or on our website, and we'll make the effort to keep it updated, send you, put new articles, new things that come up, and maybe look out for suggestions, what to talk next, maybe talk about some pre-diabetes, diabetes, those kind of topics. So again, today, I know we don't have any more time for questions, but please feel free to, ask us anytime, anything, we are open to it. And thank you again, Anusha, Sagarika, for arranging everything. And Anusha, great talk again. I'll let you end the talk. Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for your interest in these age-old concepts of health, which are re-emerging in our modern lives. I want to thank each of you for spending your precious time on a Sunday to listen to this. And again, thank you, Vandita, for guiding us through the whole presentation, and Sagarika for a great job with design all the pictures and the whole setup of this presentation. Thank you so much. Does anyone have a quick question? We do have 5 minutes left. So if there is something that I can answer related to this presentation, maybe you can ask, unmute yourself. Okay, Anand is going first.
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
You okay? I've heard that many wild animals, right, when they get hurt, they do two things. They don't eat and they go and rest in a place quietly, for a long time. And that sort of self heals them. They let nature heal them. Is there something that animals know that we don't know?
That's a very, very important point that you made. So yeah, that's true. Animals, they are better connected to nature, whereas we as humans, we have separated ourselves and we have created our own concrete jungles, as we call it, away from nature. So absolutely, there is an age-old Ayurveda concept that when you are sick, when you have fever, actually, you should eat less because your body does not have the same strength of digestion. So when you are sick in the initial phase of illness, which is called the ama phase of fever, where toxins have developed and are consuming your body, you eat less, give your digestive system a break, and let your energies focus on driving away or fighting that illness. Animals seem to know that because they are connected with nature in a very direct way compared to us humans. We were connected too, but we have separated ourselves. So you made a very great point.
Thank you. Great talk again, Ansha.
Yeah, thank you again to the audience.
Yeah. One more question, maybe?
And thank you so much for joining us. We are all on time. We'll let you enjoy the rest of your weekend or day. And I'm really hoping that we'll have you again over the next few weeks.
Anita, I think there's one more from.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
I see her raising her hand.
Yes, hello.
Victoria, thank you for coming to this presentation.
Thank you. I feel very honored to be invited by a mutual friend, and I got a lot out of this presentation already, as well as a reminder to step back into my the little that I know about the Ayurvedic principles I need to apply to my body, which takes me further. I know that everybody needs to make a living, but I'm also interested. Ayurveda is very expensive in the West, like having an Ayurvedic practitioner, and it's not something that the insurance covers. So is there any way to have a practitioner? Are there maybe like group Ayurveda practices for like a particular doshic type? That where it's not so expensive as seeing a one-on-one Ayurvedic practitioner, or maybe there are Ayurvedic students that do a more discounted type of practice. Is there anything like that is more accessible than?
Yes. So it's a very good point that you made. Ayurveda has actually become expensive in the US. In India, Ayurveda is not as expensive. It is the nitty gritty. You can find Ayurvedic practitioner in every corner. I grew up in the city in India, and we had somebody down the street who could help us with some suggestions, and it is actually considered very inexpensive in India. But here you make a very relevant point. It's expensive. So I am still a student at Kerala Ayurveda Academy. And if you are personally interested, you could contact them. They do have student-led discussions where you can volunteer, and they're always looking for volunteers who they can, as a student, as a group, try to help, and that might be even free of cost. So that is available. It's again, it's not something that I can personally guarantee because I am a student myself. So I can't guarantee that they will make it free of cost, but absolutely, you can contact Kerala Ayurveda Academy, and they are looking for volunteers every now and then when they have internships. for people who want to bring about their health concerns, and they as a group of students can help you versus have a regular practitioner which they offer to you.
Thank you. Would you please type up the name in the chat so I can, the name of the academy?
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much.